Time to Stop Time is the greatest, worst, best, stupid fun game I've played this year. With a plethora of asset flips and free models used, the constantly different art style settings, and the general WTF is going on feeling you'll have from start to finish, it screams cash grab. But there's a problem. The game is too damn fun. Stupid fun, like broken game fun, but nonetheless, genuinely fun. You're Jack Alder, the last Navy SEAL survivor and the first subject of Operation Warp Speed. Why are you the last Navy SEAL survivor? I have no clue. The story is so unintelligible, disjointed, and I'm running out of adjectives here. The story makes absolutely no sense, and the cutscenes gave me motion sickness. And because of how bad the story is, I think they did that on purpose. Forget all of that, and let's focus on the gameplay. Every mission starts with you making an entrance into where everyone was aiming for some reason, then firing at you, and you slowing time to a crawl. You not only have a certain amount of time to complete all the objectives, you also have to worry about energy, which is constantly draining and almost everything you do consumes a bit of it. The first several missions are basically puzzles. Figure out where to go, who to save, and who to kill first. When your hands are empty, left mouse button will telekinetically pick up objects and people so that you can move them to safety, throw them with the right mouse button, which you hold for further throws, or carry them to safety and place them down with the left mouse button. Be careful because apparently slowing time makes it to where lightly bumping an object or person will cause them to scoot away or scatter like dropping a bag of marbles on a table. Once you've completed all the objectives, you'll hit the P key to resume time and get to see all of your mischief play out in front of you. And even though it's all goofy looking for the most part, it's just, why do I enjoy this so much? A little later, you'll start getting introduced to new weapons, techniques, abilities, upgrades that give you extra time and energy, let you start with a weapon of your choosing, knives, grenades, mines, extra ammo, or something that I really wish I was aware of long before I discovered its usefulness: energy drinks. Energy is your most important and limiting resource. As stated before, it's used for almost everything you do, but it also serves as your health. So when you get hit, it's not just hurting you, it's also limiting what you can do for the rest of the mission. And when you get the ultimate form ability, the moves you'll be pulling off will devour your energy bar. Don't be like me in the early game and try to brute force your way through it by bashing your head against the wall. If you're having trouble making it through a certain mission due to energy constraints, just grab a few energy drinks. It's so much easier. Soon you'll be introduced to enemies that either aren't affected by your time abilities or are at least not as affected. First being this giant mech. I want to take a quick aside here to gush about the enemies in this game, specifically this mech, but it applies to others. This enemy is easy enough to be introduced to you this early in the game. However, it's also hard enough to be included in the endgame missions. The balance this game strikes with how enemies need to be prioritized and their synergy, whether accidental or not, is so damn good AAA studios need to take notes. When's the last time you've played a game where an early enemy makes it into the endgame and isn't just fodder, or an upgraded version where the model is slightly darker shade than their early game counterpart? Also, you can hop into enemy vehicles and fire off a few rounds, which is kinda meh. It's really only useful for fighting airplanes, which only show up a few times, and trying to get a little extra damage out if you're running low on options. And by hop into vehicles, I mean teleport to them from 7 miles away. Just like with the weapons, if you're on the same side of the planet as them, you can just pick them up and use them. It's another toss-up between not knowing if the devs just didn't bother adding restrictions, or if they actually realized it works great for this game. And it does. Except for later missions where it gets annoyingly hard to pick up some weapons, and even times when you can't pick them up at all when they're clearly needed to finish the mission, which leads to you having to improvise in the most accidental masterpiece cash grab kind of way. Yeah, this looks stupid. It felt stupid. Until I realized it was working, then I felt like a freaking genius for outsmarting the game. And then I kick a tank to death and go right back to feeling stupid again. And then there's this mission. I was disappointed, upset even, thinking they completely ran out of ideas and I just had to get rid of these guys. I was wrong. They introduce you to a few new enemies, all of which aren't affected by your time slow, at least not entirely. It might just be me that couldn't immediately grasp the concept, but these guys were actually difficult to fight for the first few times until I finally got the hang of things. This is another huge plus for this game. Enemies that aren't inherently difficult, they just require a certain method to dispatch them that's different than what you've been fighting. Mixing these enemies together essentially turns missions into puzzles again. Puzzles of who to deal with first, or at least when. To break up the pacing of the game, they'll sprinkle in some missions where it's basically just a raffle stomp on weak enemies. These are spread out far enough so by the time you play them, you'll have new upgrades or abilities you'll be able to use against them, so they act as low-stress experimenting levels. And the maps are typically large, some much larger than others, and you'll find weapons scattered throughout in a distance from each other that makes the size feel perfectly acceptable. I'm 99% sure most of these maps are pre-made assets or are at least made from them, so once again for the 100th time, is this a cash grab or an accidental masterpiece? Because the story makes absolutely no sense, I can't tell if scenes like this one are meant to be some sort of a joke, or if somewhere in the incoherent plot they explain why this exists. And then you fight Nazis, because of course you do. And this scene brings up even more questions, like why are we arriving via landing craft when there's no ships anywhere to be found? Why is only one section of this beach defended? Why did we choose the only section of the beach that's defended to land at? At least they introduce you to another new enemy, whose hands glow for some reason. He's your typical melee tank, not too crazy much damage or fast, but he takes a lot of damage. Also, if you put a mine on a sailor's foot just right, he turns into a balloon. And then we immediately cut to saving Kennedy. I wasn't there when it happened, but I don't remember it playing out like this. As you go on, you'll start to meet more and more enemies that defy your time-stopping abilities. They're not always stronger than the last, but that doesn't make them any less of an issue. Like these SOBs here that seem to hit me with their laser they fire from their sword 99.9% of the time. But by the end game, you're going to learn one easy trick that enemy designers hate. Group all of the enemies up, activate your final form, and spam the F key. This is game-breakingly powerful for most missions, but also helps you clean up some of the lesser enemies in the endgame so that you can focus your energy on the big guys. And here's the craziest part of this game. It has a boss fight that's actually kind of good. It's simple, yeah, but I just finished an analysis on Space Marine on my channel, go check that out later if you're interested, where the boss fight was a joke. And that was made by a full studio. You take what you can get, and this possible cash grab gives and gives. And here's something else. Even though the story is incoherent, some of the cutscenes are pretty badass. Like, seriously, check this out. Don't worry that you don't know the context of that. I played the game and listened to the cutscenes, and I still don't know what the hell's going on. And the ending is, well, like I said, I had no clue what was going on, so the ending caught me off guard. Not only because it was a fight against 4 new enemies that weren't particularly difficult or new compared to what we fought against in the missions past, but because of how short the game is. I have just over 3 hours of footage for this game. That's all it took, 3 hours. If I went back and played it again, understanding the gameplay now, I imagine I could knock this out in just over an hour. Oh my god. Here at the end of writing the script, I was going to put a joke in about it being a one-man team that made this game or whatever. Turns out, it was published by an actual company that has published several games and some well received. Well, there goes the ending I had. You know what? I'm going to put exactly as much effort into this new ending I'll have to make as they did with their asset flip of a game. That being said, since the rest of the script was already written, just like their models were already made, all I have to do is put my name on it. So, that's it for this video. Thoughts and comments go down below, and if you made it this far in the video, please remember to leave a like. If you want to see more content like this and more, subscribe to the channel. This is Mitchell Godsend. Have a good one.